My soon-to-be ex-wife and I are both 26 years old, with a 5-year-old son and a 10-month-old daughter together. I work as a manager at an IT company, while she works as a receptionist at a hospital. Although her work has been limited due to pregnancy and maternity leave. I'm quite outgoing, whereas she's more introverted, preferring the company of close family and childhood friends. On Saturday, June 1st, 2024, a former colleague from my workplace, age 23, came to our house assuming I'd be home, knowing I don't work on Saturdays. He intended to return important documents I had left at his place the day before during a work discussion. My wife answered the door, unfamiliar with him, but he explained his connection to me, so she invited him in and offered him coffee while he waited for me. I was at my parents' house, 5 miles away. According to the ex-colleague, here's what transpired, as best as I can recall from our recent phone conversation. Colleague, do you know about me and your wife? Me. What do you mean? Please explain. Colleague, remember that day last month when you weren't home and I came by to drop off those documents? I'm sorry I didn't call ahead. Me. Yes, so what happened? Colleague. After your wife invited me in and offered coffee, we started talking and bonded over literature. She was friendly, and I regret to say that things escalated. We kissed, and your son walked in. He asked who I was, and she assured him not to worry and just go watch TV. After that, we went upstairs and, well, things happened. Me. Are you serious? If this is a joke or an attempt to stir trouble. Colleague. I wish it were, but it's not. I felt obligated to tell you, especially since your son saw something he shouldn't have. Your wife is the married one, not me. I didn't force her into anything. Me. I find this hard to believe. Colleague. That's why I resigned on June 7th. I didn't know if you knew or not, but I preferred to resign than risk being fired. Me. I'll speak with her, and if this is true, there will be consequences. Colleague. Okay, but I want you to know I didn't force anything. I'm sorry. I was furious and deeply hurt. This employee had only joined us in May, and I'm certain my wife didn't know him before that day. When confronted, my wife initially denied it, but eventually admitted to the affair after realizing the seriousness, especially since the colleague resigned. She apologized profusely, saying she didn't know what came over her. When I mentioned our son witnessing the incident, she broke down in tears. I decided to stay with my parents for a few days to gather my thoughts. Both my parents and her family have been supportive, condemning her actions. I've been in touch with my son and daughter via FaceTime, assuring them I'll be home soon. I've made up my mind that there's no salvaging our marriage. Now, I'm concerned about custody and finances. I don't want to be in a situation where I lose the house and only get to see my kids on weekends. How do I navigate this to ensure fair custody and financial stability? Since discovering her betrayal, I've noticed my soon-to-be ex-wife is genuinely remorseful. She's been reaching out constantly to me and her family, despite their disapproval of her actions, acknowledging that I'm her rock, and she needs me. Today was the first time I returned to the house since leaving. I saw the children and had a conversation with her. I informed her that she would need to vacate the house, which is solely in my name, by the weekend, and she agreed. She'll be staying with a close friend who lives nearby, as her family resides far away. I haven't broached the topic of divorce with her yet, following my parents' advice. It works out conveniently because this way the children won't be far from either of us. Earlier today I asked her if she had been unhappy in our marriage. She replied, "No, it's just that I enjoyed feeling desired by someone other than you." Given her natural attractiveness, she meant that being with just me wasn't enough for her. Knowing this, I've decided to let her go and focus solely on my children and my work. My son is 5 years old. All I know is that he witnessed his mother being affectionate with a stranger. I'm unsure of anything else he might have seen or heard, and honestly, he seems quite content right now. I prefer not to bring up what happened that day to avoid upsetting him. Update. She has moved out of the house and is staying with her friend nearby, taking our 10-month-old daughter with her. I have our son with me. We agreed that for now, she would care for the baby, recognizing that at such a tender age, there's no one more essential than their mother. I haven't formally mentioned divorce yet, as I want to be legally prepared. But it's inevitable given our current situation. Since my last update, I've discussed divorce with my wife, and while she's devastated, she understands that it's unavoidable now that we're no longer living together. I've made it clear that there's no path back from what happened. I've consulted with my parents' lawyer, and all the necessary legal arrangements, I'm not well versed in this, have been made to ensure a successful outcome for me. I'm confident I'll retain ownership of the house, solely in my name. and I'm committed to co-parenting equally with my soon-to-be ex-wife. The specifics of the children's living arrangements will be decided by the courts regarding which days they'll spend with each of us, though we've agreed on a 50-50th custody split. I'm open to having them full-time if that's what's best.